Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on Monday, March 24th. I am Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score. We're in the Matador Fan Zone. And if you're watching on TV, you see Tony Wagner, the Estacado coach, whose team got to the state semifinals, which I want to talk about that a lot, but I also want to make sure we mention several times. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 25th, Estacado will host, I don't know if host is the right word, they will honor your team. You'll present them their state semifinal medals in a ceremony at the high school at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. They'll get their regional championship trophy along with the state semifinal trophy and their medal.
Because that's the one thing. I want to give the new format a few years before I decide if I like it or not, where you don't go to a regional tournament and the state semifinals and championship game are separate. But one thing that does get lost is some of that, I don't know if attention is the right word, or the celebration.
The celebration, getting your medal right then and right there, getting your trophy right then and right there. I mean, the accomplishment, it's good, but if you don't win, now you have to wait a couple of weeks to get your medal for that round. The regional tournament, same way, you win the region, and you have to wait a couple of weeks to get the trophy. And so it's a little different. One of the things that I was a little disappointed in is that we didn't get to cut down the nets after the regional. Yeah. After we won the regional final, so and that's, I don't know if that's on me, on whoever, but
to be in your defense, you don't think about it because you've got to get that next neutral site, and there's a different feel to it. Like I said, I want to give it some. I don't want to be that old man saying get off my lawn and say I just don't like it yet. But I didn't necessarily like it this year, although I will say it benefited your LISD brethren. I think Monterey maybe benefited from that a little bit because I know Jill didn't, and I know Aaliyah didn't like the Wichita Falls regional where they played it in the former hockey arena. Yeah,
it's a coliseum that they play in, but you get to the regional tournament, who cares where you play?
Exactly.
Everybody's playing in the same building. They're using the same basketball, so I don't care where we get to play if it's a chance to get to the state tournament.
Well, and you guys did get to the state semifinals, and I hope people understand that the format. Whatever. You guys were in the state semifinals. You lost to Dallas Kimball. I've seen a lot of good Estacado teams. I've seen a lot of good friendship teams. I don't know that I've ever seen a team as good as that Kimball team that you guys played.
They beat the 6A state champion, Duncanville. They beat the 5A state champion. And so, and when I was talking to the coach, he was like, I built this team to win a 5A state championship. And they look the part. They got great players, but again, the drop from 5A to 4A, last year that team didn't make the playoffs.
Wow.
In that district in Dallas. And so, they went from 5A. They got a few guys come in, and he did a great job of getting them to gel together.
They looked a lot like you guys and did things similar to you, just a few more dudes.
We were talking before the game. I know Coach Smith. I know a lot of those guys when we go to different coaching clinics and stuff like that. And he was telling me how he had like 7 guys, that had D1 offers already. And I'm thinking to myself, I hadn't had 7 Division I players since I've been at Estacado. He has them on one team. But I was proud of our guys and how they fought and how they competed. I think had Tim not been hurt,
that changed the dynamic.
It would have changed the dynamics of the game. He would have managed that game. And Lamont was great. He did a great job for us in the playoffs. In fact, he played himself into a scholarship. But,
nice.
He had to be uncomfortable for a little bit, and he stepped in that role. He felt it nice, but if Tim's there now, Amon's in his natural spot, and there's no way they can help out with him on one side and Shakur on the other. And so, I would have liked to see that game.
And you got guys that were valuable in a lot of different ways, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Losing Tim, you lost maybe your biggest domino. You're a domino player. You know that you lose that one key domino and starts to affect everything else. But you're right. They came out and they jumped on you quickly, and I talked to you after the game. What impressed me about you guys, and part of that's being an older senior group, is I think you got behind 11-0.
11-0.
That could have been 20 or 25-0 pretty quick, but your guys responded. They answered.
Yeah, it was a tough group of kids, and again, I think we lost that game in 2 spurts. it was a spurt in the first quarter, and then I think the second half they had a little spurt in the second half. But after that, though, I didn't think that they were that much better than we were. We just had some key turnovers and missed some key shots, layups, and stuff like that, which was because of them. I mean, that kid was extremely athletic, and he altered a lot of shots and made us play in a way that we weren't used to playing, getting in there to the basket, and now we're looking around instead of finishing strong, and so it makes a difference. But I felt like they had two good stretches where they controlled the game and went on some runs and we wasn't able to recover from.
And to be clear, they went on a few days later and won the state championship by 23, 24 points.
Yeah, they were up 30-something the whole game, and then they ended up winning by like 24, 25.
And I've always said this to coaches, the end of the season sucks. You don't like to lose, but when you look back and you see that team that beat you, that they were pretty good and that they took care of business. I don't know if it makes you feel better, but you kind of understand that your guys did about as well as they could.
Yeah, I feel like if we could have won that game, we'd have a different conversation right now. Yep. It was a tall task for us, but I felt like we didn't run from it. We hit it head on, and I was extremely happy for our kids for that.
We'll come back after this break on the Matador Fan Zone, talk more about Estacado basketball, what happened, and what lies ahead. This is Randy Rosetta on 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Monday night, I almost said Wednesday night. I'm trying to speed up the week. I'm trying to get closer to the Sweet 16 now that we're there. Pretty big week for Texas Tech. They won a couple games to get there. They've got I don't know if that's a great draw. They got to play Arkansas that's on fire now. But Red Raiders, have you gotten to know Grant a little bit?
I've known him for quite some time. He was at Midwestern State for a little bit.
Yep.
And then he went over to went to North Texas, and so I've known him since I used to go to Midwestern, play some open gym with them when I was younger. So yeah, I've known him a little while.
You guys coach a little bit. There's some similarities in the way you guys coach because there's no sitting still and there's no lack of passion.
Yeah, I know. I love watching him coach. I was watching him play the other day. He got fired up because when you talk to him away from it, he's like, it's hard to pull words from him. But the passion that he shows, his son's fiery like that as well.
He is.
And so I figured he had to get it from somewhere. I used to wonder, he'd come to our open gym and play a little bit, and he's talking and he's getting after his teammates. And I was like, I wonder where he get this from because I've never heard Grant really yell. And then, boom, you watch him coach and you see, okay, he's passionate about what they're doing and they love it.
And the other similarities, he gets guys to play hard, which is what your guys did all season long. We were talking about the state semifinal game. I want to go back. You guys won a lot of games to get to the state semifinals.
Yeah.
And you said this to me afterwards. You said this is going to be a tough group. You're going to have a hard time saying goodbye to this group.
Man, I've watched these kids grow. Some of them been coming to my camp since they were 6 or 7 years old, and then they graduate. And it's always tough to see our seniors graduate from me because I just feel like we do so much with each other. We build those relationships, and then I talk to them forever. Once they play for me, they're stuck with me forever. So if I see them do something dumb on down the line, I'm still calling.
Nothing wrong with that.
And so but this group, just a special group. They liked each other. They got along so well, and I think that's one of the reasons why we had so much success. We had Kenny come in last year, and then they just brought him in, and he just mixed well with those kids, and told me that's the best decision he had made was to come over and join. But that group of kids is gonna be tough from graduation. I walk them out, so I gotta watch them walk past me and shake their hand, and so it's gonna be an emotional day for sure.
You mentioned that you get on them if they do something wrong, but the other side of that, and I thought so you put it on Facebook the other day, you were in one of your guys' weddings.
Yes, that's probably one of the highlights of my time at Estacado, because when they're kids, they don't understand, they don't get why you're this way and why you treat them this way or why you talk to them this way or why you make them behave certain ways. And then once they become fathers and adults themselves, they start appreciating it a little bit more. And so when he called me to do that, man, I was praying that we didn't play a playoff game on that Saturday. And so, in Decatur wanted to play on Saturday because the girls played the state championship game that day in San Antonio, so they didn't want to mix that crowd up. I was like, we got to play on Friday. Man.
Yeah.
I got something to do Saturday.
Exactly. I remember Lewis Kelly talking to me about this. Have you gotten to the point yet where you're coaching sons of players that played for you, or you're still young enough where that?
I'm coaching. I'm past that point. Right now, I'm coaching like Raheem, who played for me when we won state. His son's a sophomore.
Okay.
So and I've got guys that have graduated and their dads have played for me, and so I've been there a while. It's crazy seeing it because it's like the deja vu. Like I see Raheem when he runs, and I'm like, jeez, he runs just like his dad did.
Well, but I've seen one of your son that comes to games all the time. First of all, he looks just like you.
Yeah.
And then he has some of your mannerisms too.
Yeah, he does. I just wish he had his big brother's toughness.
Give him time.
He's a little soft, but I think that's a little bit of everybody's fault. His siblings are grown, so if one person don't do it for him, he goes to the next until he kind of figures it out. But I'm excited about having Aiden at Estacado soon, but I don't know if I want to coach him yet.
I think Lewis and Bobby Davis had gotten to the point where they were coaching grandsons of original player, and that's some staying power.
Yeah, well, God bless them because I don't know I don't know if I'll be there that much longer. I just kind of want to enjoy Aiden once he gets there in high school. And he'll be at Dunbar next year in 7th grade, 6th grade right now, and he'll be at Dunbar next year. But I don't know if I can coach him. To be honest, I can't stand to watch him play. He's just so nonchalant, and so it's hard for me to watch him play.
You need some Tony Wagner practices.
Yeah, and he's about to get it. He's about to get it this summer. But I love being at Estacado. I love everything about the community. I love everything about how LISD allows us to coach our kids hard, and they stand behind us, and they, especially when they know you love them and that you got their best interests at heart. I'm not out there making kids do crazy things, but the accountability there is there, and I love the way our principal, Ms. Wilbanks, supports how we do things over there.
I don't know that I've ever said this directly to you. I've said this to a bunch of people in reference to you. When Lewis Kelly retired, it may have taken a few years, but he passed that torch to Tony Wagner in terms of being the face of Estacado, and you've done a heck of a job with it. Well,
I appreciate that. One of my favorite pictures is of he and I standing in front of that deal, and I posted that on Facebook one time, and some of his former players, they came in and kind of said some similar things, and so, he used to give me some great advice and we had some great talks while he was alive and working there.
And that what it says right there on that sign is pretty good coaching advice too. Just win.
Just win.
That's all you got to say. That when you walk into y'all's field house, it's pretty amazing to see all those pictures up there of guys he impacted. So that's going to wrap us up on the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We'll come back after the break on the Westerner Fan Zone. I am Randy Rosetta.